Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels, and a merry at stupid o'clock to one and all. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, a few disclaimers. First off, you are going to find a link to this monstrosity of a document right there in the description, as well as other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign. Most important, A, the Autistica Hoya's massive archive on this case. Number 2, the templates. Sign your name, click on your senator. Most important 2 minutes of your day, if you haven't done it already. Also, the change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. If you haven't signed it already, please go ahead and do. Also, folks, when we are speaking about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of, as well as see video clips from surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children present, at the very least, folks, please use your headphones. Also, folks, it is stupid o'clock in the morning, and this is already my third take and my third attempt to go ahead and try to get this video done this morning. So if I stumble over my words horribly, please, my apologies in advance. So let's go ahead and move ahead here. We are taking a look at staff supervision where we left off yesterday. Okay, here we go. Most staff supervisors are hired through internal promotions. However, JRC will hire supervisors from outside the school if they have the requisite supervisory experience. I wonder though, you're going to hire an outside supervisor you haven't had a chance to brainwash first? Just saying is all. Administrators who are part of a supervisor hiring committee review a staff member's performance, including quarterly evaluations and end-of-shift reports, before promoting him or her to a supervisory position. Have they kissed enough ass? Have they ignored enough torture? Have they completely desensitized themselves to anything remotely resembling human compassion? That's what I'm seeing the requirements of this being. The committee sends out notices to other supervisors requesting their recommendations to fill supervisor positions, which such positions become available. Oh, I'm sure they do. Now this one lost his conscience within week 2. He'll be perfect. Just saying. Supervisory staff members oversee all direct care and monitoring shifts and are responsible for making any necessary notifications and assigning staff tasks during shift. Residential supervisors monitoring in-house and DVR supervisors, the school supervisor, and the overnight school supervisor must all complete daily reports that are sent to the administrative staff. Well, duh, Judge. Why do you feel the need to tell me this? What does this have anything to goddamn do with the incident on August the 26th, 2007? The point, Judge. Get to it. Just saying. Excuse me, folks. These reports detail exactly how each shift went generally, whether there were any student issues, whether any GED applications were given, whether any restraints took place, and positive and negative evaluations of staff that worked the shift. There is additional information contained in the daily reports depending on the role of the supervisor. For example, the monitoring supervisor will provide details regarding any students on the watch list. Oh, you mean shock it will? And the residential supervisor will indicate if supplies are needed at the residence. All supervisors must evaluate staff members for their shift. These evaluations then play a role in the overall evaluation staff receive during the year. So what you're trying to say is they're tightening who they let in, yes? Can we say that without having to do an entire paragraph on it, Judge? Concise. Come on now. The overnight schools. Sorry, folks. The overnight school supervisor also fields questions for the residents during the night if any issues arise, and oversees staffing levels and supervisor assignments at the residences. Oh my God, who cares? But it's important, Tiff. Can we say that in less than a half a page? And what does any of that have to do with what happened that night? This is the changes they made, Tiff. Okay, whatever you say, Karen. JRC has an on-call system to provide coverage in absence of scheduled employees. Each shift has a designated member of an on-call staff that are required to call into the monitoring department before the shift begins to see if they are needed. If they are needed, monitoring will instruct them where to go and what time their shift will start. If an additional staff is needed, JRC will call upon experienced staff members to work the needed shifts. That will call the relief staff if no experienced staff is available. Okay, Judge, let me make this more concise for you since you seem completely incapable of doing it. What you're saying is if we put more experienced staff in there, incidents like this are less likely to happen. Bullshit. Major bullshit. Because if that were the case, then what happened to Andre McCollum's would have never happened. Because that was experienced staff, right? They had a nurse there and everything, and yet it did not stop that day and night from happening. Having more experienced staff there means nothing more but having more experienced staff who's even further desensitized for the pain they are putting their victims in. Okay? It doesn't stop incidents from happening. It puts people more experienced in covering up their tracks in the residences. Okay? We good? Good. There. I cleaned it up for you. Can we get on with it now? If a supervisor is unavailable for a shift, oh my God, Judge. The overnight school supervisor or school supervisor will first see if there's any staff trained as supervisors available to cover the shift. If those supervisors are available, staff has been at JRC for at least 6 months will be asked to cover the shift. If a supervisor for a crisis residence is unavailable for a shift, a trained crisis supervisor will be asked to cover the shift. Having somebody more experienced there is not going to stop these incidents from happening, Judge. It's not going to make them stop. All it is going to do is make it easier for the JRC to cover their own ass. Okay? I'm just putting it out there for you in case you didn't know. This place has a culture of abuse, of torture. Okay? You want to know how you keep incidents from like this happening? It's not by adding in even more experienced and more desensitized to human pain people over vulnerable human beings. It means closing places like this down. Just saying. When additional staff is needed at residence because a client goes to a one-to-one staff level, because of a crisis, additional staff will be added for a shift temporarily. Every time they say the word crisis, I get the urge to punch something in the throat. Let me explain to you why. What they mean by crisis is they mean when a student is not complying or doing something like flapping like this and not harming anyone. That's what they call a crisis. That's what they say you need to be shocked for. Okay? Just clearing that up for everyone. Thereafter, the staffing level for residents will be increased to ensure the necessary staffing level is present. Okay, Judge, for the love of God, even having, and you, all necessary staff there, experienced staff there. Can I please say it again for the dumbasses in the back? That doesn't change the fact that these students are being tortured, whether it is done by your will or done by a prank call. Okay? The only reason why the JRC is supposedly doing all this and had a judge investigate is to cover their own ass. God, what is wrong with people? Current safety policies and procedures. All staff receive safety care training prior to being put on the schedule at JRC. Oh my God. You don't know the first thing about what safety is, Judge. If you think this is perfectly safe and reasonable treatment of vulnerable people, then you don't know the first goddamn thing about safety. Just saying. The student safety is my utmost concern. Bullshit. Bullshit. If you allow this shit to go on, if you allow this school to continue to exist, you don't give a shit about the disabled people in the building. And don't try to argue with me anything different. You only care that they're lining your pockets. All current staff members must complete periodic in-service training regarding safety. High crisis specialists are required to complete crisis training prior to working in a role, in addition to retraining. JRC provides the staff with safety equipment and trains staff on how to use equipment during safety care and crisis training. For the love of God! These people are vulnerable and strapped to fucking chairs and a 4-point board. What threat are they to you? None. They are goddamn helpless. You're not the ones having a crisis. They are. Safety consultant. Oh, dear God. Do I even want to do this or do I want to save it for tomorrow? Screw it, folks. I don't have the stomach for this today. I'm just going to go ahead and close out. I'm sorry it's really short this morning. But here's my final thoughts on this before we go. This judge seems to think that having more experienced staff there and having more staff there and the residents during overnight is going to prevent things like the August 26, 2007 incident from happening. It's not. And why is that? There is a few reasons. More experienced staff has been even further desensitized to the harm they are causing their students. They're actually more likely than ones who have been there for a shorter period of time to just act on orders without asking questions. Why? Because at this point, this is what they've been conditioned to do. The only difference that I see here with more experienced staff is they're going to be a lot more capable of covering their own tracks, which is highly disturbing, folks. More experienced staff and more staff members there, Judge, is not going to prevent incidents like this from happening. What it is going to prevent is for incidences like this to get out into the public eye. It is even tighter security And there's even more secrets we have even yet to uncover going on behind those closed doors. Just putting it out there, just in case anyone is wondering. And with those thoughts, folks, now we'll go ahead and close out. Now, we don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.